Okay. I'm going to introduce our speaker. He's going to make some remarks, and then we'll go to a question and answer interview format. Samsung is an incredible success story. As you heard, it was started in 1969. It now has a market capitalization of $350 billion. This year, it will have revenues in excess of $200 billion. And this quarter, just reported for last quarter, earnings of $12.8 billion, which was a record for the company. The company has roughly 325,000 employees around the world, about 17,000, 18,000 or so in the United States. Dr. O.H. Kwon is a native of South Korea. He got his undergraduate degree in electrical engineering at Seoul National University, and then got his master's degree in Korea as well, but then got his PhD in electrical engineering at Stanford University in 1985. And in 1985, he then joined Samsung and worked his way up to be the head of the semiconductor division, which is by far the most profitable part of Samsung. And he is CEO and the vice chairman of the board. And as you may have read, recently he announced that he would be stepping down next year. So we will talk a little bit later about why somebody with these incredible numbers wants to step down at the top. But among other reasons, he's got an incredible success story in building Samsung to, with the help of many others, to this incredible point that it's now reached. So without any further ado, let me ask Dr. Kwon to make opening remarks, and then we'll have a question and answer format. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate the chance to be here with you and the distinguished guest today. I want to take a few minutes to talk about Samsung Electronics. Samsung Electronics was founded in 1969, the same year when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. The start was a small step for the company, just making black and TVs. Since then, the company has made tremendous giant leap to contribute to Korea's economic growth, as well as the world IT industry. In the early 70s, Samsung Electronics quickly expanded its product lineups to include refrigerators, air conditioners, and washing machines. We are a mere local player in Korea until the beginning of memory chip business in the early 80s. Entering the memory chip business was not easy at first. We faced negative press and deep skepticism from the industry, both domestic and foreign. Even people within the company had strong doubts and concerns. But we pressed on to open a new chapter in our history under the determined leadership of Samsung's founder, Byung-Chul Lee, and his successor, Gunny Lee. The road was bumpy and rough in the 80s. However, we made a relentless effort to overcome our disadvantages. We all shared a clear common goal, that is to become global leader in semiconductor industry. In the early 90s, the founders' strong commitment and the employees' dedication finally made it possible to compete with the top players in the industry. In the following 2 decades, our success in the semiconductor business had a positive impact on other businesses in Samsung, including flat panel displays, TVs, and handphones. It created a virtuous cycle that has driven the growth of Samsung Electronics so far. Now, the IT industry is entering a new era of breathtaking innovations such as AI, IoT, cloud, and 5G. All these technologies will have a profound impact on our lives and our society. Individuals, businessmen, and government will experience productivity innovations enabled by artificial superintelligence. Consequently, long-term social societal goals such as health, environment, the program to improve our quality of life will be attained. In these momentous times, Samsung Electronics will continue to fulfill these societal needs by leveraging our core capabilities. Samsung's technology leadership in semiconductors and displays will drive innovations in data center, autonomous vehicles, and industrial IoT. In addition, the company's ability to integrate hardware platform with softwares can deliver value to customers who aspire to change the world. Samsung is ready to shape the future in collaboration with others. The history of the company is a series of fundamental, determined efforts to overcome different changes. With the arrival of AI, IoT, cloud, and 5G, Samsung Electronics is about to face yet another set of changes. In that sense, I need changes by myself. That is why last week I announced early retirement to give a chance for the next leadership. By new leadership at Samsung will continue to make a full efforts to achieve our missions, to inspire the world, and create the future. Finally, I would like to conclude by saying that I could be more than honored to speak here today and to have discussions with David. Thank you.
So normally, if somebody has a record quarter, $12.8 billion in a quarter of earnings, they would say, I'll stay a few more years and reap the benefits of that. So why are you leaving?
Actually, the Korean old sayings, it's best time to leave when you are in the peak. So.
Okay. All right. So what are you going to do when you retire?
It's a secret anyway. Actually, until next March, I'll stay in Samsung to take care of the board membership and a kind of operation. But after March, who knows? Samsung is actually a very dynamic society. So I think I have a plan. Actually, my personal plan is how to support the young guys at startup as a mentor. But if there are some another missions of Samsung Group, I should do. That is in Korean culture.
So let's talk about your businesses. One of them, I'll get to the semiconductor one in a moment. One of them is the smartphone business. You're the biggest manufacturer of smartphones in the world. Is that right?
True. And the iPhone, there are a lot of the Samsung components out there.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now, do you have what kind of phone do you have?
Of course, I have Samsung, right?
All right.
Because I received the salaries from Samsung Electronics. I should use this.
Is that better than this? You know?
It's a taste, depending on the personal taste. Maybe some guys prefer Samsung, some persons prefer iPhone. But I suppose both phones are great.
Now, like, for example, you have a daughter. If your daughter bought an iPhone, what would you say?
It's okay, but fortunately, she bought Galaxy.
Okay. So, what is the advance in semiconductors in iPhones or in your kind of phone, Samsung phone, that will revolutionize this business in a year or two? In other words, what new advances can there be?
I think this is tough because in technology, I'm also a background engineer in technology. But whenever time goes by, the engineers have developed quite enormous things. So when I was 10 years old, oh, it is impossible. They made it. So I always the positive. Some guys are making non-expected technologies. That's what I want. I think it will help to customers and the society.
All right, let's talk about flat screen TVs. You're the biggest manufacturer of flat screen TVs in the world. Is that right?
Not right now, because few years, because the amount, volume-wise, unit-wise, I think all the Chinese manufacturers more
Who is?
Chinese manufacturer.
Okay.
Combined together.
Now, if somebody wants to buy a regular TV today, an old-fashioned TV, big, thick, that you can't buy those anymore. They're gone.
No, I think recently the TV market is shrunken because everybody watching rather than TV, just watching the smartphone rather than TV. So I think there may be some chance in TV market to combine with the new technology, so-called AI or something.
But do you worry that the whole flat screen TV business will go away and everything will just go to computers?
No, I don't think so, because even TV itself has some functions, and I guess there are some another new waves included. I think TV, even the shrunken, but I think still there's market.
So, and let's talk about semiconductors for a moment. Now, you know how to design a semiconductor, right? Mm-hmm. So that is your expertise. You're a semiconductor engineer.
Okay.
So how long does it take to design a semiconductor for, let's say, a smartphone?
I think there are so many kinds of semiconductors, but normally there are memory chips or SoC. But usually from the start concept to design and manufacturing and testing and deliver to market, I think usually 2 or 3 years. From the start to end.
Now, in the United States, you have, I think, 17 or 18,000 employees, something like that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So your biggest facility is your semiconductor manufacturing facility in Austin, which you said you've invested about $17 billion in. So is that where you manufacture most of your semiconductors used in the United States, in Austin?
Actually, in Austin, we are making the logic chips. It was produced in Austin, and a majority of chips are used in United States companies.
I see.
Yeah.
And today, what percentage of your business is in Korea? What percentage is in the United States? What percentage is in other countries?
Samsung Electronics, the domestic portion is very small, below 10%. And the other areas, well balanced. US may be around the 30%. And Europe is also below the 25, something like that. And China is 30% and the rest.
So who is going to pick your successor? Are you the person picking the successor?
The board member, that is, I delivered the message to board members in advance. The board members will select my successor, but I recommend who is the right guy for me. But decided by them, by board members, not by me. I'm just a recommendation.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to know where the consumer electronics industry was going to go in 5 or 10 years, what do you think are the most important new developments we're likely to see in consumer electronics in the next 5 or 10 years?
Tough question. If I know it, I do it right now. I think that's true. There are so many rooms to be improved in all the electronic devices. I like to mention TV. I think it's combined AI or IoT. It will provide another values. And the same. And the next two wave is, I think, is a kind of smart home. And Samsung considered a kind of digital healthcare. And another one is automotive industry. So there is another big thing, big wave, I guess.
So today, as you look at your job over the last number of years, what has been the biggest challenge you have faced in running Samsung?
Because, as you know, the IT industry, of course, the other industry, is changing so fast. Nobody can expect what's going on in next 10 years. So that means how to prepare our company to sustain. That means the important thing is how to change our corporate cultures and the mentality and how to educate the talent. That is most the focus on.
Now, you got your undergraduate degree in electrical engineering in Korea, but your PhD, as I mentioned here, were there many Korean PhD students in electrical engineering in 1985 in Stanford?
Not much, few.
And so when you told people you were going to go back and work in Korea, were people surprised, or is that what you always wanted to do, was to go back to Korea?
When actually that is more than 30 years ago, more than 50 to 40 years ago, when I went to US to study, my first the dream is to become professor. frankly speaking. But at Stanford, as you know, the university environment is quite different from Koreans. So I changed my mind. Oh. Because at the time, early 70s in Korea, PhD guys has no job except university. Because industry level is so low, there is no reason to go to industry. But when I arrived in the US, wow, there is so many opportunities, especially at the time the Silicon Valley is booming. So I decided to join the industry rather than academia.
But did you ever thought you stayed in Silicon Valley, you could have started your own company, you could have built your own Samsung electronics or something like that? No?
No. I think that it's one of my best decisions to join Samsung because there are a lot of the opportunities for me to handle because it is possible to have so many practice and exercise and trials in big companies. So I enjoy it.
Now that's when you joined Samsung in 1985, it was a modest company compared to today.
Yeah.
And it was one of many chaebols in South Korea. There were a number of them. There still are. But Samsung zoomed past everybody else and became so much bigger. What was the reason? Was it harder work, smarter people? What was the reason?
Maybe all combined together, but I think, in my opinion, is our founder. He always when he started his business, 1938, something like that, starting the trading business. But always focusing on always talking talent first. So he recruited people and educated. He invested a lot. And the second one is technology. So he invested the talent and the technology. And he provided all kinds of resources and opportunities to do something. So all the people's employees working very hard to achieve some goals. That is why some difference in Korea compared to other companies.
Okay. And today, as you look at the future of Samsung, where do you think its future is? It going to be more in semiconductors or smartphones or TVs, computer screens? Where do you think the greatest profitability in the future is?
I don't measure like that because it's top secret. Because some companies follow the Samsung style.
Right.
Frankly speaking, we are focusing right now. I mentioned the next big thing is a kind of IoT-related project. That's including healthcare, whatever. And another thing is automobile-related parts. That is, we are recently the M&A Hammer.
Now, have you ever thought that when you leave Samsung, that if you joined a private equity firm, you could start a technology company and you get 20% of the profits? Samsung, you don't get 20% of the profits. So have you ever thought of starting your own semiconductor company or doing something on your own with some private equity money backing you? You wouldn't do that?
It's a tough question. But I think recently the semiconductor industry is a very technology-oriented industry. It's very tough to develop the new technology. Second one is it's very capex-intensive industry. So the other company, to start again is very tough, I guess, in my opinion. So maybe semiconductor industry is already fixed, and so still the fabless companies are consolidated still because there are so many R&Ds. Nobody can handle that one.
So you don't want to do that? So what do you do for relaxation? Are you a golfer or a runner, or what do you do?
I play golf. It's not good golfer, but I like it.
Your handicap is what?
But it is another top secret. I'm enjoying the golf, but because I think I told my staffs to make as many same hobbies with your spouse. It's either your wife or husband, because that is I'm pushing my wife play golf because it's possible to practice in the older age. So another one is I go to sing with my wife.
Okay, so you're,
And another the hobby is listening music together and going to the museum. That is
okay.
with my wife.
So you showed me earlier your pictures of your grandchild. You have one grandchild, and how old is?
Just 1 year old.
1 year.
Just
and,
past 1 year old.
and she speaks English and Korean and.
No language. He is quite open to speak any language. Right now, he is just a natural language.
So your goal for Samsung after you leave is to continue to be the most valuable technology company in the world? Is that your goal for the company?
I hope so. Why not? Because I think in Samsung, and the Samsung, including all the organizations, I think we have two missions as a CEO. How to survive, because I think that is very tough. Second is how to sustain the company, because just one single pig and disappeared is not meaningful. So I think all the creatures is like same. It's a survival and sustain. So I'm always thinking about that way, how to survive in tough industry, how to sustain the industry. The base is technology. So
what is more important to the future of Samsung? Is it the business in the United States or the business in China?
I think that both, because the China market itself is big, but all the innovations, new ideas, in my opinion, came from U.S. So U.S. and China is the important market.
Let me ask you a final question. So as you look back on your career at Samsung, what are you most proud of what you have achieved?
Because when I joined Samsung, I mentioned it's a local company. Nobody knows Samsung except in Korea. And we started the semiconductor. I'm kidding, because nobody believed it. And there are some rumors in Korea at the time. Okay, Samsung will be collapsed pretty soon. But we catch up, and it took more than 30 years. Right now, it's very close to be #1 position in semiconductor. I'm just starting my career as semiconductor, and this year becomes #1, and luckily anyway. So that is, it's time to retire. I'm quite proud, part of the to achieving that kind of position.
Okay, well, it's a very impressive achievement. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay.